Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week. We're very happy to welcome you to our show titled Speak of Africa. What's Africa this week? Well, the news week is replete with a whole lot of news, and we're going to bring you all this news that matters. But when we look at the headlines, what happened during the week just tells us that there is a new scramble for Africa. We call it Cold War 2.0. We've said it many times and people think we're joking, but you can see all the signs. In fact, what are the headlines, especially the world headlines? The first one is the Economic Summit in Davos, Switzerland. What is presented? Artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. Those are some of the things that people are looking. What is the future of artificial intelligence? It's going to suffuse a whole lot of stuff that we do. How is it going to impact the world? Is it going to be like the Orwellian world of 1994? Well, interestingly, a lot of people are embracing artificial intelligence, as we can see from the summit in Davos, Switzerland. People are excited about it. Few people are really opposing it. People think artificial intelligence is for the better. Yet, we should be worried about abuses. Then, there is also the non-aligned movement. The summit also was taking place in Kampala, Uganda. The host was Yoweri Museveni. Yoweri Museveni was really in the spotlight because he's going to be president of the non-aligned movement. This movement was created during the Cold War. A lot of countries in the world did not want to be part of the Cold War between the United States of America and the Soviet Union. So they were saying that we are not part of any power bloc. We are neutral. But it's very tough to be neutral in a polar world, especially a bipolar world, the way it existed during the Cold War. You had the United States on one side, then you had the Soviet Union on the other side. Either you are for the United States of America or you are for the Soviet Union. But some countries were playing games, trying to be in between. So they were always receiving gifts from both sides. America will give you stuff to pull you to their side. Russia will give you stuff to pull you to their side. But now some countries, including like most of the newly independent African countries, were saying that they were not taking sides in the Cold War struggle. So this was a tough stance to take because the superpowers are putting a lot of pressure on you to side with them. And that's why this conference was very important, taking place in Kampala, Uganda. Then, of course, what was spoken at this conference? Well, Africans, for the first time, were able to make their voices heard, which is what we really like. Africans were able to make their voices heard. Then, of course, they were challenging the unipolar world represented by the Europe and the United States. But now, China is emerging as the new leader of a multipolar world. And this is the world most of the African leaders were saying they embrace. We're not going to criticize them, but we think, given the opportunities, Africa should choose them. And you can see that for the first time, the United States is really struggling. Ms. Murphy, who is the assistant, let's say Biden's lady for Africa, African lady. She is in charge of Biden's African policy. She was struggling to try to put together a band of people to combat the Russia and China. She was really working very, very hard. Biden has been making promises. I want to go back to Africa. They had the African Presidential Summit a few years ago. Now Biden is making plans. Is this just posturing for the next presidential election, or is he really serious about engaging Africa? Africans are really skeptical. They are really skeptical of the interests of the United States. They feel like the United States is not really ready to do business with Africa. The United States is more worried about the influence of China and Russia. It looks like if it were not these two forces, the United States would not really show any interest in Africa. In fact, when the war in Gaza broke out, the attention of the United States shifted to the Middle East. What about Africa? Nobody's talking about Joe Biden's planned visit to Africa. But now that the Africans are speaking, especially Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, we told you a few weeks ago that he filed a case against Israel, the genocide case, with the International Criminal Court of Justice at The Hague. This week, at the Non-Aligned Movement Conference, we're seeing so many African leaders take positions against Israel. We told you before that pressure works. Even the United States, the so-called biggest superpower in the world, responds to pressure. America itself consists of so many pressure groups. So politicians in America respond to pressure. For the first time, you can see that Joe Biden, the president of the United States, is exerting pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, to agree to the concept of a dual state in Palestine. One state for Israel, one state for Palestinians. The hardliners and the ultra-conservatives in Mr. Netanyahu's government are against the creation of a Palestinian state. They think they can win the war in Gaza, but a lot of the soldiers are saying it's not possible for Israel to win the war in Gaza. It's not possible. The war is unwinnable. But the United States is instead thinking, based on the pressure exerted on the United States by African leaders, that they should create a dual state in that area. One state for the Jews and another state for the Palestinians. The United States knows that they are losing all the support of the international community, and they are telling Israel. So Israel is making the US government lose a lot of points. The international community is fed up with the ways of Israel. They feel like Israel is behaving like a spoiled child, and they want this child to be disciplined. So it is the job of the United States now to deal with Netanyahu, the spoiled brat. Okay? That's just what we can tell you when we look at the international community. So it's against this backdrop that you can really understand what is happening in the world affairs of this week. China is emerging big. The United States has tried as much as possible to prevent semiconductor technology to be transferred to China. But in spite of all odds, China is redesigning their own semiconductors. We saw a lot of work that they are doing, and their engineers are trying to prove to America that they can create their own stuff, they can be self-reliant, and they will beat the Americans. The Chinese economy has been growing by leaps and bounds, and that has been good for China. And the United States and her allies are really shaken because they don't really know China may overtake them very, very soon. That's what is really creating a lot of fear in the American camp. China is rising. It's like we used to watch Chinese movies back in those days. Say, Enter the Dragon. Yeah? The game of death. So world commerce has become a game of death. And the dragon of China has entered to slay all these Western forces and European forces. So that's the kind of game that we're seeing. The Chinese Connection. It's a big movie. It's no longer just a movie. This is now real life. That's what we're dealing with. Okay? So we've given you the backdrop to understand world affairs within an African context. So what about news in Africa? We start with Ambazonia. Most people were saying that the revolution is over. We told you that it's not over because you guys send us news, updates. You guys are doing a good job. And in fact, the most common website I see, and it looks like Kemita Ashu. That's a website that I see all the time. People send like news from WhatsApp. I see Kemita Ashu. So all hail Kemita Ashu. We get fresh news shared by Kemita Ashu. This morning I also saw Kemita Ashu share news from England. People are protesting the war in Gaza from England. So all hail Kemita Ashu. You're doing a good job of sharing stories. A lot of people take stories that you've shared and send them to us. But we saw these stories as originating from Kemita Ashu. So all hail Kemita Ashu and all the internet warriors out there. Continue sharing. You are making it possible for the Ambazonia story to be told. And the biggest story this week from Ambazonia has to do with Mezam Unity Warriors. You're getting Unity Warriors from all over the place in Ambazonia. They are striking, Sunday strikes. You can see the evidence of all the strikes. We hear the Ambazonian Unity Warriors from Mezam. They killed over 17 soldiers from La République du Cameroon. So when is the message going to get to Paul Biya that it is time to really negotiate with the people of Ambazonia? How many more people have to die before the dying king understands that the time for dialogue is now? That's the message you are asking us to ask the La République government. And we're asking the question on the air. Mr. Paul Biya, when are you going to be ready to negotiate with the people of Ambazonia? And when I see a lot of you guys in Ambazonia, you send me a lot of pictures. You're looking at 2035. Paul Biya presented a fair vision of Cameroon in 2035. You guys are presenting a new vision, an El Dorado, a paradise, an Ambazonia as paradise by 2035. I see pictures of the airport in Tico. It has become an international hub, a new international airport in Tico. You guys remember those days of southern Cameroon, the way the economy used to thrive and good things used to happen, a polished system. But today you are stuck with a boulou beti tribal trash can. Tu vois les poubelles partout. Hein? C'est dommage, n'est-ce pas? Merci beaucoup. So that's what you guys are telling us about Ambazonia. La République, even this guy Clinton in here, the soccer superstar. This week we saw you guys talking about his disappointment with La République. He thought he could rise and support La République, but La République has let him down. Even Samuel Eto'o was insulting him. That this is not your country. Go to Baminda. Go to Kumba. So he's telling you that you don't belong in La République du Cameroon. So Anglophones, elite, you guys are getting the message. Whether you like it or not, they are telling you you don't belong. And this is sad. And this is what is creating more tension on the ground. Okay? From Ambazonia and La République, we cannot even go away from La République because there's so much mess in La République. Martinez Zogo, the story, the murder mystery continues. It's like I'm reading a novel by Agatha Christie again. I stopped reading those novels many, many years ago. But when I look at what is happening with Martinez Zogo mystery murder, it reminds me of reading one of those novels. Every day, something new happens, and Amogu Belinga is back in the news. More stories. Then some people are pinning their hopes on Maurice Kamto. They are thinking that Maurice Kamto, in the end, will emerge as the real successor to Paul Biya. And he will present a new Cameroon, a Cameroon that they can believe in. Well, keep dreaming and hoping for a new Cameroon. Let's go to Burkina Faso.
Tired of waiting in long lines at the emergency room or your doctor's office? You should be. Why wait in long lines for care? It's time for you to come to Lucille Urgent Care. Real care, no waiting. Lucille Urgent Care, the best place for true and loving care. Service at Lucille Urgent Care is convenient, fast, time-efficient, affordable, accessible, transparent, and cost-effective. Real treatment is your right. Indeed, it's not just a privilege or pejorative. Skip the emergency room's long lines, kiss the ER goodbye, say farewell to your old doctor's office, pay less, save time, enjoy the excitement of convenience, receive immediate treatment, get the healthcare you need quickly and affordably. Lucille Urgent Care offers many express services: rapid COVID-19 testing, on-site prescription, preventative lab services, imaging and x-rays, urgent medical treatment for common illnesses and injuries, routine vaccines and flu shots, work-related injury services, pre-employment, occupational, annual, and sports physicals, immigration exams, and much more. Same-day treatment, rapid lab results, extended hours, weekend hours, no appointment necessary, no insurance necessary, no doctor necessary, walk-ins accepted, telemedicine available. We are open 7 days a week with evening and weekend hours. We are located in Maryland. Lucille Urgent Care, 903 Half York Road, Towson, Maryland, 21204. Website, lucilleuc.com. Call at 443-275-1286 or 301-593-4897.
Well, Burkina Faso is the country of honest men, upright men, but we understand it's also a land of coups and counter-coups. Ibrahim Traoré has gone through so many coups, and since he organized a coup d'etat against Paul-Henri Damiba, we understand that he's paranoid about coups. Every week we hear it is a new coup d'etat against him. So it looks like this guy doesn't really sleep peacefully. Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown, as we say in Shakespeare. He has to be dealing with this. He got it. What about the Central African Republic? All is not well in the Central African Republic. There is insecurity. We understand that a Cameroonian soldier was killed while he was on patrol with other soldiers. It looks like he hit a mine, it went off, and it killed him. So he's telling you that peace has not returned to this area. Last week and a week before, we talked to you about Bancroft, new American company that is coming to do some work with the government of the Central African Republic. It looks like Ashanti Touadera is getting tired of his friends in Russia. Okay? Then what about Congo DRC? Congo DRC, in fact, a few days ago, we really marked the anniversary of the killing of Patrice Emery Lumumba, the national hero of Congo, in 1961. He was killed by the forces of Joseph Désiré Mobutu, who was a colonial puppet of the Belgians and the Americans. A few years ago, the Belgians returned the tooth of Patrice Lumumba. They cut his body into 34 pieces. They dissolved everything. In fact, Suarez, who was the gendarme of Belgian extraction, who masterminded this murder, he said he had to drink and get drunk in order to be able to do the dirty job of killing Lumumba and cutting him into 34 pieces. Then after that, they put the whole body in acid. Everything was dissolved, but we only have the tooth. Suarez kept this tooth as a trophy. Finally, Suarez has died. Now the tooth is the disgrace of Belgium. But even today, we are really surprised that Congo DRC maintains diplomatic ties with Belgium. Why not just cut Belgium off? A country that has stolen your future. Why do you keep dealing with them? That's the question inquiry minds keep asking me to ask. Why is Felix Tshisekedi even visiting Belgium? They should cut ties with Belgium and just leave Belgium alone. Belgium has committed so much wickedness in Congo. I don't even want to go to King Leopold, what he did to the Congolese. I'm even looking at the current happenings. So Belgium should not even feature in the history of Congo anymore. They should part ways. Because what are you getting from Belgium? Then you have a buffoon like Felix Tshisekedi. You say, oh, I'm the new president. I've been elected democratically. You've been elected for what? There's fighting in the east. You've not been able to stop the fighting with the M23. Sometimes some of your supporters will challenge me on the air. They'll say, oh, Prince Ojong, now Felix Tshisekedi has arms. He's going to fight. But we think that's just a joke. Okay? From Congo DRC, we'll take you to Ethiopia. Ethiopia now is a hotbed of trouble. A few weeks ago, we told you that Ethiopia had signed a monumental agreement with Somaliland for the use of a port. After Ethiopia lost Eritrea, Ethiopia did not really have a way to the sea. So they have to struggle to look for ways to get to the sea. They've used Djibouti and other places. So now they wanted to really get access to the sea. So they brokered this deal with Somaliland. Somaliland is not really a free country yet. It is part of Somalia. So Somalia was really frowning upon this agreement. Somalia had to put pressure so that this agreement between Somaliland and Ethiopia should not stand. And it looks like the pressure is working. Right now, Somalia was invited to the meeting taking place to make peace in Sudan. We're going to talk about that later. But as we tell you now, Sisi of Egypt is promising to support Somalia against Ethiopia. You know, Ethiopia and Egypt have been having issues dealing with the water from the Nile. Who is going to get this much water? That has been happening, okay? So we've been telling you that that's been going on, okay? But who is going to win? Well, so the plane carrying some Ethiopian officials had to turn back because Somalia refused them to land in their territory, okay? From Ethiopia now, we'll take you to Nigeria. Well, Nigeria is rife with insecurity, corruption, insecurity. Corruption, the case dealing with corruption has to do with Godwin Emefiele, the former governor of the Nigerian Central Bank. The FCC is still holding him, even though most of the courts in the country are telling the government of Bola Tinubu to free him. But in Nigeria, like many other countries, these are banana republics. The presidents will tell you there is a constitution, but the president doesn't respect the constitution. So who does the president expect to respect the constitution if he is not respecting it? So the constitution of most of these countries becomes like toilet paper, papier hygienique. You can use it to wipe your butt. Isn't that a shame? Then, of course, the story that we cannot laugh about in Nigeria has to do with the kidnapping and killing of the kidnapping of 5 sisters. They kidnapped them very early in the year. Then they even killed one of the sisters because they were not getting money for ransom. So banditry by these Muslim fundamentalists has become a serious problem in Nigeria. The people are suspecting that the powers that be know who are these criminals, but they are not doing anything to them. And it looks like these criminals are getting support from the Nigerian government. So it's really raising a whole lot of alarm because people are asking themselves, why is our government allowing us to be killed like chicken? In Abuja, of all places, Abuja is the capital city. Why can people not live in peace in Abuja? You can be kidnapped from your school, you can be kidnapped from your house, the way these 5 sisters were kidnapped. After a whole lot of outcry, the Nigerian government marshaled the police and to go and look for these kidnappers. But they know who the kidnappers are. So I think a way to resolve this issue is to force Tinubu to do something about this insecurity. He's been talking about it, but he's not doing anything about it. He's just paying lip service. This week, we saw Remi Tinubu, the wife of Bola Tinubu, come out and try to lament and feel for the victims. We think if she really wants to show that she supports these victims, she should put pressure on her husband to do something about insecurity in Nigeria. Because crime is paying. Crime has to stop paying. Bola Tinubu, make crime a bad business. Make it difficult for these people to make money from crime. Provide jobs, improve the economy. This will create more opportunities. The people don't have to resort to crime. Then those of you who are in the north, we understand that a lot of the fundamental Muslims are really responsible for a lot of this kidnapping and insecurity. So we should hold these Islamists accountable. That's what we need to do. Okay? From Nigeria, where we have the falling naira, we'll go to Senegal. Senegal is going to the polls next month. But it looks like Karim Wade and Ousmane Sonko, 2 prominent opposition figures, have been sidelined. They have been banned from contesting the election. Then how can we say the election in Senegal is free and fair? That's the question inquiring minds are asking. And we're asking you also to address this question with your own friends. Okay? From Senegal, we take you to Sierra Leone.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
In our last few videos, we shared with you the attempted coup d'etat in Sierra Leone against the government of Julius Maada Bio. He himself is a former military guy who created a lot of coup d'etats in the country. But now a coup d'etat has been organized against him. Then one of the accusers is the former president of Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma. He was asked by the police to come and present his testimony, give an account of what happened. I think they were really finding him guilty. So because they were really afraid that this may create a big problem, during the last few weeks, backdoor negotiations have been going on. ECOWAS has been brokering some deals so that in exchange for immunity and peace in Sierra Leone, Ernest Maada Bio should go to Nigeria ostensibly for medical leave. The trial may take place in March, but they're going to suspend this trial, and Ernest Bai Koroma is going to go to Nigeria. As we speak to you, his plane flew on Thursday to Nigeria. So as we speak to you today, the plane of Ernest Bai Koroma has already landed in Nigeria, where he's starting a new life as the ex-president of Sierra Leone. But will this bring peace to Sierra Leone? It remains to be seen, because we have a precedent. Don't forget, Obasanjo, when he was president, did the same thing. He asked Charles Taylor, the troublemaker in Liberia, to come and live in Nigeria so that peace can return to Liberia. Did peace return in Liberia? No. While Charles Taylor was in Nigeria, he continued communicating with his boys in Liberia, and he was fomenting trouble. Do you think Ernest Bai Koroma is going to be any different? Well, the people who negotiated this deal must not have spoken to Obasanjo, because former President Obasanjo knows what happened. Even this week, we know that with the conflict in Ethiopia, former President Obasanjo has been sent to broker peace between Ethiopia and Somalia. Then what about Sudan? Sudan is a powder cake. We've been telling you for so many months that Sudan has two generals who are tearing the country apart. Peacemakers have tried to solve this problem, but it's difficult to bring these two warring generals, Al-Burhan and Dalgo. Those two generals are very stubborn, very selfish. In fact, during the last non-aligned meeting, Dalgo decided to attend the meeting. Al-Burhan was really angry that by accepting that General Dalgo should attend this meeting, the IGAD group was giving him recognition. So he was not going to attend the meeting for non-aligned countries. And that's why more and more people will continue dying. So is Sudan the possession of General Dalgo and General Al-Burhan? That's the question we need to ask. These two generals are behaving as if they own the country. They can tear it apart. It is their prized possession. They can do whatever they want to do with it. Is this good? That's why the rule of law has to return to Africa. Finally, we take you to South Africa. The major news in South Africa has been Cyril Ramaphosa's participation in the non-aligned movement meeting. He raised the issue of Israel, and all African countries are supporting Israel. China is now the big daddy, sponsoring everything. How is America going to react? Cold War 2.0. May God bless you. Bye-bye.
Now more than ever, it is critical that medical facilities utilize modern, reliable electronic health records. Introducing Alexia HTC, the innovative, affordable online solution for physicians and patients. Doctors' visits, diagnoses, prescriptions, and billing have never been easier. With Alexia HTC, you can work more efficiently with the integrated flexibility medical professionals need today. Schedule a live demonstration. Call or visit us at alexiahtc.com.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.